Hey guys, Ricky with the Flip Lab. Today I'm here with Ray Spencer. Me and Ray met a few years back. Ray has crazy stories. He's killing the creative finance game as far as when a lot of wholesalers around town and in Phoenix, I see they're struggling, they're taking vacations. Ray is just, in the hood, fixing up houses and doing a lot of creative deals. So excited to have you on, man, and really talk to you about what you got going on around town.
Love it. I'm ready, bro. Let's get it.
So let's just start off, man. Like, how'd you get to where you're at today as far as being a full-time real estate investor?
Full process? How did I?
Yeah, let's tell people a story.
A story before a real estate story?
Yeah.
I grew up in the hood, many hoods, California hoods, Arizona, South Side, West Side, Colorado, New Mexico, Albuquerque areas. So I've been in gangs for years. I've been in prison for 11 years, and I actually got introduced to a Dean Gracioso book in prison, by my dad, who's passed. He sent me a book, and that was like my first introduction to real estate. Like, it took me a while. I had the book for a while. I was in prison, acting up, doing stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't take me till I went to the hole to actually read the book because I had no choice and I wanted to read something to me to like learn about real estate. And I finally got an interest in real estate inside of the walls. To when I wanted to get out, I wanted to jump in real estate.
That must have been like such a fire set where, you're learning all this information, but you can't really do anything with it at that time.
No, it's not. It's more of a just keep your mind off of where you're currently at. Like, in there, it's just more like your reality is just a totally different world. So whatever you read is where you dream, right? So it's kind of like falling asleep, right? Like, you live in this mundane life. Life sucks. You just want to kind of go to sleep and dream.
Yeah.
That's what that is when you're like reading books. You don't even think half of it's real. All of it's fake.
Damn, that's crazy. So you were in jail for 11 years, you said?
11 years.
How long ago did you get out?
I've been out 8 years out of prison.
And what was kind of that transition then from getting out? You were, you found some real estate in prison. You wanted to execute on it. Like, I hear people, they've been stuck in a learning stage of like wanting to jump into real estate for years. But, probably when you got out, it was like a completely different world almost that you were hit with.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to get in. Like, my mind was like, I want to do real estate, but I got the reality of life, right? And the fact that I've been locked up since I was 14. So I became a man in prison, and I didn't know what being a man in the real world looked like, right? So I didn't know paying bills, rent. I didn't know none of these things.
They don't teach you that at all, right?
No. And then when I got locked up, they had which the little flip phones you used to flip up. Remember the little
sidekick?
Sidekicks,
right?
Right. So the sidekicks and texting was a thing back then, right? By the time I got out, they're like iPhones, cell phones, right? So like technology to me was like foreign. So I didn't know anything about this, and I had such a huge learning curve that I wanted to try to dive into something, but I was like, I really got to go get a job. I got to deal with, getting my life together and cleaning up, finding a place. And all that for me just set me back, where real estate took a huge, I forgot about real estate altogether. And I had to work. And my thing was, I'm going to do real estate, but I'm going to do real estate by learning how to do the ground up building. So I actually jumped into one area that would hire an ex-con, which is construction.
Right. I was going to say construction.
Right? Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll jump into construction. Well, I've been in construction, bro, for about 5 years. 5 years. And I never got out of it. Like, I got to a point where I worked my way up in construction. I went from framing to doing roofs, to doing flooring, carpet, drywall. Then I jumped into concrete, and then I started working my way up into concrete, into being an actual safety guy. I went to school, went to ASU to be a safety guy. I started learning, studying, became a junkie of learning. And I was making 6 figures a year, and I realized I was overweight, depressed, and like I forgot my dream. Like, I forgot the goal, which was real estate. And now I'm this dude making 6 figures. I'm like, well, how can I get outside of that? I'm a salary guy. I'm working 12 hours a day. pretty much working nights too to kind of fill out paperwork and do all, when I got home, I was still working.
Yeah.
And it just came a point where I was like, when do I go back to it? So this was a period where I started reading books. I went back to the library, and analyst paralysis is a real thing.
Oh yeah. I see it all the time.
Like it's a super big thing for most people where you want to be able to learn it all, right? Not to do it all. And it took me a while to realize it's better to do than it is to learn, because you actually learn more by doing, right? And a lot of people get stuck in that where it doesn't really help you at all,
Yeah.
right? You don't really learn until you actually start doing some stuff. Can I cuss?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I can say shit.
Yeah, shit, fuck, whatever. Dude.
But you don't really learn until you start doing shit. Like really putting in the action, really putting in the work. And for me, it took me that long to get it where I hit a point where I couldn't move up because I wasn't part of the boys club. And I felt personally it was like the boys club in construction, everybody who were superintendents had an education, a high education. They were also white, right? So I felt something like it was a hard challenge for me because I didn't fit those categories.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had to really work my ass off to even get in or get introduced. And I really worked my ass off. And I had a point where I was just like, I just don't like it. I think the next level for me is I had to go back to college, do a 4-year degree in engineering to really hit that level. And I didn't want to do all that.
Makes sense.
So I was like, scrap that. Let me jump into real estate. And I took my first leap at real estate at calling and making deals. It took me like 90 days to get my first deal.
I think it took me about the same. That's not too bad though.
No, it was a grind, bro. I did because I still was working 12 hours.
You were cold calling?
Yeah. So it's cold calling, D4D. I had a partner at this time that he was D4D, and it was a young guy that I work with. He was D4D in the morning. Then when I got out for work, I D4D'd all night.
Driving for dollars. For people that don't know.
Driving for dollars. That's pretty much what we're doing. So when I got off of work, like all night until like 2:00, I'll do my portion of like D4D, and he would do his during the day. And like we would compile these lists, and then we'd cold call them, skip trace them, then cold call them.
Yeah. What was kind of the vision, even at that time, is you kind of knew the construction side of things at this point. If you could just like learn how to source deals, you kind of put that together, and
that's what I thought. Yeah, it doesn't. The construction component, it helps for sure. But
I wish I worked construction when I was younger, man. Like now that I own a house, like little things go wrong, or
you gotta like everybody now does the DIY, like the YouTube.
Yeah, you could do that, but I still feel it's different, man. Like I wish I would have been like with my dad when I was younger, and he would ask me to help him with stuff around the house, and I would just go play like with my friends instead of helping him. I wish I would have helped him put in some flooring in, or
how would that benefit you right now?
I wish I was a little more well-rounded, where like if something goes wrong in like my house or something like that,
you can jump in there.
That I could like jump in there and be like, "Hey, babe, I got this." Take out the wrench, and it's not like that though.
So for me, that's my downfall.
You do that too much.
I do it too much. That's why you see me hustling and working a lot.
Right.
Because when I'm hiring guys, all right, I'm like, okay, here's the price. Go fix this, right? And they're like, all right, we're gonna charge you $10,000 to do this entire kitchen, right? I'm like, man, I could do it for $2,000, right? Because I know the work. And I was like, it's only gonna take me a couple of days to put these cabinets in, and it just messes with me.
And you're not scared of the work.
No. No. That's like that, having that part, knowing it while investing, it really messes with me. Super, super bad.
I have that with like this type of stuff, like the media stuff. I like edit all my videos, record my own podcasts, upload all of my YouTube videos. It takes up a lot of time. It's a lot of work. Sometimes I'm like, is it a good use of my time? Could I be using my time for better things? You know, do you kind of fight that battle when you're thinking about, do I pay the contractor an extra $5,000, or do I bang that kitchen out over the weekend? But is that like possibly holding you back from doing bigger things?
It is. So I've learned this the hard way. I'd rather not deal with analyst paralysis, right? I'd rather not be a learner at all, because the more you learn, there's a responsibility to that, right? Because you now know.
Sure.
Right. Now that you now know, It's like, okay, I know how to fix a roof. And when a contractor comes by and he's like, okay, this roof's going to cost you 20 grand, right? I get a couple quotes from him. I'm like, man, I could probably do it for 5, like myself. Now I have to realize, like, is that worth my time? Am I really saving that extra 10, 15 grand, right? And it just bothers me. Or I'd rather not even know about it and just pay it, because I can go do what I'm good at and get dangerous.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't, I think, equate that is like the responsibility to knowing stuff. It sometimes hurts you.
Yeah, it is true. I think there's a good level of knowledge, at least to not get screwed over. Mm-hmm. Like it probably helps you.
Yeah.
Dealing basics with contractors. Like, come on, man. I know you got to make some money, but that doesn't cost that much or not. We probably don't have to fix it that way. I feel like same thing with like the video editing stuff. Like I have some guys overseas that help me with some videos, but I feel like I'm a much better delegator now compared to some people. They have no idea what they should be paying or how long some of these videos take. So I think it's good to have some base knowledge, but I'm always thinking as well, just, where else could I be spending that time?
I think it's once you spend so much time doing something, you start to realize, I now master this subject, right? I need to go master another, right? And then you start equating your time, because like, okay, I'm good at it, but there's other things I could be doing, right? That somebody else can start mastering the subject, or that's not good at it, right? So I can go do something else and scale and grow. Those are different concepts that most people don't get yet.
I struggle sometimes too with just like where do I go with my time? Like I could be doing more deals, but like, I got Brandon on my team helping me sling deals, and he's probably better at it than I am at this point. I could be, focus on growing this or that, but sometimes I struggle with exactly where to put that energy towards. Like in your position right now, if you're not going to do as much construction, let's say next year, where do you see yourself actually putting that energy towards?
Structure more deals. I'm really good at structuring deals.
So just looking at more deals?
Like me getting my eyes on more deals and being more creative is probably where my superpower is. Right. So yeah, I can do all these other different things, but that's just not my superpower. I'm not tapping into it. So the more I can like look at more deals, analyze more deals, right? I can help the people around me grow far more better.
Yeah. So where did that superpower come from? So I know you were in construction, you finally, you were grinding, driving for dollars, did your first wholesale deal. How did this superpower grow and be able to structure these deals creatively?
I would say it came out of, it was birthed out of me being in prison too long. The reason why I say that is I don't like being confined. I don't like being closed in. I don't like a box. So for somehow, and I don't know how it all kind of penciled out and developed, it just now it's put me in a position where when someone says something, I just don't believe it to be true. Right. I want to fact check it. I want to be like a scientist and be like, I don't know, let me put my thesis in and check if that's actually true. Right. Is the earth really flat? Right. Yeah. I just won't take that. I want to discover it and say, maybe let's see if it really is. So out of that, it just gave birth to being more creative, because I just don't want to be fit into a box, and I don't want to be like everybody else. I feel like the world is not built for everybody to be the same. We're all not the same. We're all different. So there's got to be different opinions, different answers, right? Different questions to everything that we do. And as long as we apply that, things work.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier before we got on here how, you were wholesaling, and then earlier this year, I think you said in like February, you really pivoted the business into more creative type deals, which looking at it now, us included, I think everyone around town or in the nationwide, like wholesaling has not been as hot as it was the past 6 months. It's been a struggle for sure. So what made you kind of foresee that and pivot into doing creative deals?
Not being so involved in the business. So at that time, I had given my business to a few guys in the office, right? So I found a few guys and was like, hey, I have a 7-figure operation. You guys just have to run it, and you guys run it. And by me not being in the business, it allowed me to step back. And when I stepped back, I started to see there was just too much hype. Like the business had way too much hype. There were people coming in the industry too quick, too fast, making mad dough, right? So my office is on Central, and on Central, I got maybe 60 wholesalers on the same road.
Damn, there's that many
There's
over there?
tons. There's tons, absolutely tons. And then there's all of us give birth to our acquisition guys, right?
Yeah.
And they're now picking up operations. So they come in, work for us for like, it's the quickest way to make millions of dollars with a cheap entry. You don't have to pay like a guru or mentor. All right. Everybody has that. Let me take you to lunch. Let me pick your brain. Right. Or let me work for you for free for like 2 or 3 months. And then they leave. And your acquisition dude like has his own operation, like
Right.
cooking up. Right. So that just gave birth to a whole lot of different stuff. Especially where I'm at on Central. So I got all of everybody else's guys. I call them the littles, right? Because they're everybody's acquisition guys. There's like 60 of them where I'm at on Central. Bro, there's too many of them just making dough, making money, doing hedge funds, doing buyers, doing this. And I just thought about it like this, just too easy right now to make money in wholesaling. At some point, it has to come to an end. And by me stepping back and analyzing everything, I was like, you know what? I just want to pick a different market. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't know. Mm-hmm. Right. Let me just pick something else in real estate. And I went creative. And I've been doing creative deals since I first started. I was like, let me go more into creative. And then let me go more into multifamily. Like those are two things I kind of started picking up. So I built a multifamily business with my business partner, Mike Crane. In like 3 months, we were already closing 60, 80 wholesaling assignment fees on multifamily. So I was like, okay, that's a good business. I like that.
Yeah.
There's not too many people who understand it at the same time.
Is that similar to single family wholesaling, would you say? Just like bigger, more zeros essentially? Or is it a completely different ball game?
When it comes to the wholesaling point, it's the same as wholesaling. It has a few different things because there are more zeros. Right. Yeah. So there's a few different things that has to be tweaked a little bit, like doing assignments over to a buyer and you're buying it to your buyer has a bank. They're going to look at what your assignment is and say, it doesn't meet this percentage. You can't assign yourself $200K. Right. There's no acquisition fee for that. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different. Sometimes you got to close on it, buy it, and then you wholesale it. So it's the same, but just slightly different. And it does have more zeros on it.
Sellers still need to be motivated, distressed, essentially. Yeah.
It has the same key pieces.
Right.
You just got to know how to analyze deals. No different than single family.
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought about maybe pivoting into wholesaling, just bigger properties.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think our team especially, we're good at sales, negotiation, talking to people, finding motivation. So I always thought like, hey, if those same type of people exist, but I could assign it, a 7-8 figure deal, there's just way more room to make, my quick little couple $100K possibly compared to like a single family deal.
And you can. Yeah. The only thing is just tax on an extra zero. That's it. So instead of 30, it's now 300. Then you got to figure out like which game do you want to play?
Yeah.
So when I made that pivot in February, that was the best thing I ever did. Because now I'm seeing everybody, like I'm seeing all my homies and everybody in the industry kind of like struggling with deals, struggling with this. And meanwhile, I'm still going. I'm still even going in the wholesaling area. But now I'm just picking and choosing what I wholesale.
Yeah. Like obviously, if something makes a lot of sense, you can make a quick buck. Because my fear with creative, or I guess not really fear, but when I'm looking at the business, I just feel like wholesaling is such a great operation to create active income. And I feel like if you just focus on creative, now you're not really fueling a lot of active income. But maybe that's not true. I don't know.
I don't say it's true. The reason why I'm learning different concepts now, right? Because I just spent $1,000 on 30, 40 creative financing books. And it took me a while. Like you just can't go online and find creative financing books. They really just kind of don't exist. The ones that do exist are your basic ones that everybody, has.
Yeah.
To find like other ones, and I knew they existed because I used to go to the library and read them and find them. You got to do some deep dive to find these books.
I need a few of these books.
I said, all right, I'll give you some recommendations, bro. I got some good, solid, good recommendations. They're just crazy books. Like creative financing is old. Many of these strategies that we use are new, right? Even wholesaling is old,
Right.
right? To everybody, agents, investors, like they've been doing it, they just call it a different name, right? Now we just popularize it, and it's wholesaling. It's wholesalers. If you look at something, the way I seen it, like wholesaling is creative financing, right? A lot of people don't understand that. You're creatively financing a deal with an end buyer, right? So if you look at read some old school techniques, like that's what they call creative financing, right?
You're creatively structuring the deal.
You're structuring, right? So you're essentially just gonna you're creating money. I call it creating money out of thin air, right? You're gonna create money out of thin air by taking this contract and assigning it to somebody else. Boom, you just made 60 grand, 30 grand, right? It always exists. It's always been there, but there are just other methods you could do the same, right? And signing deals over is not necessarily what it is today if you take it back to what it was before, right? Signing a deal over was signing a deal over. It didn't matter if it was creative. It didn't matter if it was a lease. It didn't matter if it was an option. It didn't matter if it was single family, multifamily, an office, a building. It's just to sign it, right? To somebody else. Like, this is not a deal for me. It's a deal for my buddy.
Yeah.
Right? And that is the greatest way to make money, is that. But it doesn't have to be like our traditional way of like selling it to a flipper.
Sure.
That's how we think now, right? Like, oh, it's got to be an end buyer. No, bro, you can assign anything to anybody, no matter what it is. It could be a lease. You can assign a lease and make $5 grand.
Yeah.
So once you make that pivot and shift, and you start thinking like, okay, I'm making money out of thin air, and I'm thinking outside of the box, right? Wholesaling becomes nothing to you. Make sense?
Yeah, it's just one of the many exits you have.
Tools. Yeah, it's just a tool. So like there's many dudes that I talk to. I got a unique one. You want to share a good unique one? This just happened to me, I want to say 30 days ago.
Okay.
Right? I had a wholesaler send me a deal. And the guy's talking to me and he's telling me, look, I got a deal. It's at 180. And he's like, Ray, it's in your area, right? I know you like to buy in this area, right? I looked at it. It is in my area. Perfect house. I'm the perfect buyer for it, right? He's like, I want to get you at 180, right? Me being me, right? I was like, I kind of want it lower. Like, can you get it lower? He's like, no, we need to close on it in 7 days. I'm like, why 7 days, bro? Like 7 days is just too like you've had this like 30 days prior. You sent it to me. You know this is my area. So I was like, okay, what happens if the buyer, right, or you can't find a buyer? What happens? What does the seller say? And he says, well, he's just going to rent it out. Right? I said, okay, think about that for a moment. His plan A is to rent it out. That's what he's thinking. He's shooting for plan B, right? If plan B don't work out, he's going to go with the one thing that he knows is going to be his bread and butter, which is to rent it out. This was already a property he was renting out.
Yeah, it's like, I could sell it, but I could rent it out.
Right. So I was like, the way I put that is like, that's not his plan A. His real plan A is just to rent it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was like, how much is he renting out for? $1,000. Right. A month. I was like, okay. How much do you have it at? 180. Okay. He was like, well, if you just close it down in 7 days, I'll take a less of a hit. I'll sell it to you for 183 and make $3 grand. Right. I'm like, nah, that doesn't make sense. Let's just think for a second. Right. If you go to the seller right now and you tell him, would you rent the house out to me for an extra $5 grand? Just to me. You're going to rent it out anyway. But rent it to me exclusively for $5,000. Right? And now you're at 185. Okay, if you got that deal over to me, I will take it at 6 months. Right? And I will balloon play him the 185 in 6 months. And I will pay you an assignment fee of $10K instead of 3. Right? You're still wholesaling. You just assign it over to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he just couldn't grasp it. He couldn't understand it. Right. So I had to break it down for him. It was like, look, I'm turning you and the seller into a hard money lender. You want me to buy it, right, at 183. I'm going to go to hard money. They're going to ask me to put 25, 20 down. Right.
Right.
With you, I'm putting the 5 down to the seller. Right. And then 10 to you is 15. It makes sense for me all day. My hard money payment is going to be like 14, 1,800 a month, right? With the seller, it's 1,000, right? If you get this deal
Yeah.
over, you'll make more money, right? But he just couldn't wrap it around his mind because it wasn't his traditional assignment. Make sense? It was still wholesaling though.
Yeah.
You're just wholesaling terms.
Yeah, just wholesaling terms instead of just a purchase contract.
Correct. And I would have took it to 6 months. Right? I would have took it to 6 months because I'm going to do the same thing when I buy it. I got 6 months with hard money, right? With high interest rates, high payments. This was a better deal. I was like, bro, if you structure this and it over me, I give you 10K all day long.
Yeah.
Right? But he just couldn't wrap his mind around it. And that's the weird thing right now with wholesaling is a lot of people just don't know what wholesaling is. You're getting something at a lower price and you're going to assign it to a buyer for a higher price. Doesn't matter the terms.
Yeah. And I think we've always just focused more on finding that super motivated seller, buying it extremely deep.
Mm-hmm.
And then all these little things like, oh yeah, well, hard money cost is going to cost more. Well, it's like, well, if I got the property 30K less, who cares about my hard money payment or private money payment?
Mm-hmm.
But then you turn into a market like this and it's just
a game changer.
Yeah. It's you can't, whatever, just the spread's not there as much.
Correct.
So now it's like, do we bust our ass trying to make these little like 1-2K assignments and going under contract, not finding end buyers, or do we pivot towards something else to do with these leads essentially?
For me, as I look at things a little different, right? I look at when you look at your buyers, right? Your buyer's number one problem is what? Right now.
They need to buy deals.
Right. Okay, but the number one problem right now is sitting on the market too long.
Sitting on the market too long.
Hard money payments.
Hard money payments and landlords just rates are really high, so it's crushing cash flow.
Okay. If you can use what I just said right now, right? Or anybody. If you use that and you turn the seller to a hard money lender with way favorable terms, right? Do flippers have a problem now?
Not as much.
No.
I mean, it saves them a bunch on holding costs.
Everything.
Yeah.
Right. So now you can flip with none of the struggles. Right. You're not, because I'm renting. So I could do a year out, maybe even 2. Make sense? And I'm renting at such a low rate, right? 1,000 in Phoenix right now is pretty cheap. Right. Even in the areas I'm in the hood.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a good price. Right. I can keep flipping it. I can extend it with the seller. Hey, let me extend. 6 months didn't work out. Can I do it for another year? Hell, I'll give you an extra $2-3 grand. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna do that with hard money anyway.
Right.
Right. If you just flip the script a little bit and change things, like you don't have a problem. That's how I think when I see stuff. Right. So I look at stuff and like renting's not really a problem. It's a bank problem. It's not a rate problem. Because tons of people want to rent.
Yeah.
They just don't qualify. Right. Because it's just so hard to qualify with everything you need. But if you get a good rental for a lower price than what the banks are doing, you win all day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting stuff. This creative deals. How do you typically like at what point when you're talking to a lead, do you always start with trying to buy it super cheap for cash and then pivot towards creative, or are you looking to go straight into deals with a creative solution?
No, I always go cash. Right. And I know there's a lot of guys who teach different stuff. And they're always like creative first, wholesale second. Everybody has different methods.
Yeah.
Mine is cash first because cash helps me keep you motivated. It also helps me check you when you go off the deep end.
Can't get the best of both worlds.
Correct. Right. And there's a lot of people when you pitch creative first, they go off the deep end and they want to create terms for you and be like, oh, I wish I can get this. And I wish. No, sir, you can't. Let's just go back to the cash then. Right. So it just helps me check people. It's like, here's the cash offer. Right. They're like, no, that doesn't work because I need X, Y, and Z. Right. And I learned these things by just checking people's motivation. Right. Because if you're motivated enough, you want cash quickly. Here's your cash offer. Right. Let's just take that. So if I'm pitching terms, if anything comes out of them that they just want money now, there you go. Here's your cash. There's your money now. Right. And it just helps me kind of like take people off the edge when they kind of veer off the deep end. Right. When you're talking terms with them, they're like, oh, I want this crazy rate or I want this. That doesn't make sense. Let's just do the cash. Right. And they're like, no, I can't do the cash. All right. Well, it's either your price and I get terms. Right. And it just makes them more easy to kind of deal with.
Yeah.
I always push I've done it in the past, and it doesn't work out for me when I'm talking to people. I got to have the cash price there because sometimes the terms doesn't make sense, right, with the purchase prices they're looking at. So I want to kind of bounce off the cash every time.
Do you try to have them give you the terms that they want, or do you pitch them terms?
Hell no. No, I actually don't even pitch terms, bro. I used to. I used to do the triple offer, double offer, single offer. I call that shooting in the dark. Right. So a lot of us we'll just throw 3 or 4 offers together and we'll just shoot it. We're used to that in wholesaling because we're just taking a shot. It's shooting in the dark. Right. I no longer shoot in the dark anymore. Right. I'm more trying to figure out what is it that you need. So I'll listen to the person. I'll figure out what is it that you want. Right. And they'll tell you what they want.
Do you ask them questions like, what are you going to do with the money after you sell the house?
Yes.
Or, what's your goal here after you sell? Are you going to buy another property? Are you just going to put the money in the bank? Are you buying a boat? You're trying to figure out
all that.
All of that.
Because that lets me know their motivation. Mm-hmm. Right. I'll let them know, if I don't buy it, you don't get the cash. What are you going to do? Right. And they'll tell you, well, I'll probably just keep it. Or I'll put another tenant in it, right? Okay, what are you going to put another tenant in there for? And I do a weird little thing where if I'm not going to buy, you're not going to do cash, you got to have a plan B somewhere. Most people are like, I'm going to put a renter in it or I'll Airbnb it or some crazy stuff, right? Most likely they'll say, I'll put a tenant in it. Good. What's your tenant going to pay? $1,200 a month. Okay, $1,200 a month. How much are they going to put down? First and last.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to put first and last, $1,200 a month, right? What's the maintenance on that? How much do you spend on maintenance every year? You don't know that. Let's factor something in there, right? Because it's really not $1,200 a month if I get that number.
Sure.
Right. So I can break it down you're really making just $1,000 a month, right? What if I were to give you 11 a month, right? Because now I know my competition. My competition is a tenant. Makes sense. So my terms are a little bit better to structure when I'm talking to sellers because I can tell them okay, I'll give you 5 down, all right? My competition is putting first and last, right? They're putting 24. I'm doing way more than them, right? They're paying 12 a month, right? I'll give you 11 because there's no maintenance. No hassles, no nothing for you, right? Is that a better deal for you, right? And I'll ask them how long are you going to do a lease? A year, 2? And they'll tell you I usually try to lock people in for 3 years. So everything I'm asking and questioning them about, they're building their terms for themselves. Whatever you say, I'm going to use against you, right? So if they say, look, I'm going to lock in, I usually lock in a lease for a year. Cool. Would you lock somebody in for 2 years? Maybe 3? Yes. Right. I would do that if they're willing to. Good. That means if I do terms, I can lock him in for a 3-year term with the balloon.
Yeah.
Right. He already signed himself up for that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that's why I kind of I don't really structure terms until I can get all that out of them. Then I structure it. Then I say, well, you already mentioned you were going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. And I recap and I give it back to him. I say, look, here's your terms. Is that better than what you were going to do with plan B? Yes. Okay. There you go.
What percentage is of the avatar? Is it mostly just tired landlords?
What deals do I chase?
Yeah. Where are you buying these deals from? What types of people? If you're looking to target certain types of people to buy these deals creatively, is it always typically 65-year-old guy who owns less than 10 properties but owns more than 3? Or have you found some correlations on this guy going to be a good creative deal, but we would never buy this deal for cash because he's just not going to sell at 60%?
The truthful answer to that is no, right? I don't have a target market. The reason why is because I have so many different tools under my belt that I can kind of work a strategy out for that person specifically. Regardless of what it is, right? I don't really have a target. Every deal I can look at it in a different light, right? I don't like to be in a box. Yeah. So I don't like a target. This is my target market. There's some people who are young who have a position that just bought a new house. They're different than somebody who's 65 who's had it for 20, 30 years, right? I can't apply the same tools to the same person.
Yeah.
Right. So each one has a different tool, right? You might have a younger couple who just bought a house. They have no equity, right? I'm not going to play that to somebody who does. One's going to probably be a subject to. The other one's going to probably be seller financing.
Sure.
Right. So there's just different tools. And I don't really have targeting in it. I just need you motivated to sell.
I guess motivated though.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
As long as you're motivated to sell, game changer.
Yeah. Then where do you spend your time as far as like underwriting these deals? Because sometimes where I struggle thinking about like, all right, should I run the creative route with all these people? Is you have all these leads coming in.
Mhm.
A lot of them are tire kickers, not super motivated.
Yeah.
I feel like you could spend all day just underwriting like wholesale deals in a creative light to try to make sense of the deal. But I'm always like, a deal should kind of just like make sense.
Yeah. That's the hard part. The hard part is trying to scale, for one, because you have all these different levers you got to pull. So when you're looking at multiple deals, man, you can lose a lot of time just underwriting. Like underwriting is probably the number one challenge to creative financing for most people, especially when you're trying to scale it, right? You're always going to have a bottleneck of running into, I need more underwriters. Like I just can't underwrite every single deal.
Can you really teach that to someone else, you think?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it, there's a lot of feel to underwriting real estate in general. And I wasn't sure if with creative deals, if it's even more of kind of a feel game than even like your traditional comping just a single family house.
I'm trying to get away from doing what everybody else is doing. That's my objective in life, is if everybody's going left, I'm going right. Right? That's just who I am, an explorer. I don't like to be in the box. So let me wander over here to see if there's another answer to that. I'm trying to get it to where there's no, right now I don't negotiate deals. Right? Which is a weird concept. I don't shoot in the dark, which is another weird concept. Right? I'm more of just like talking to the seller to figure out what is it that they're looking for. Right? And in that process, in my mind, I'm developing something like, I don't have to underwrite this. You are. Right? So that's why I asked them, like, what's your plan B? They're going to underwrite the deal for themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Automatically. I don't have to negotiate it. I don't have to argue it. Right? It's your idea, not mine. Right? I just have to pitch it to you and say, well, this sounds like a better solution for you. Would you take this? And more than likely, they say yes. Right? You have the reluctant people that'll say no. And those people, they're easy. You just meet them in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? Because they just want to win. That's it. There's people I just want to win no matter what. Right? I won't take your terms because they're your terms. I have to add something.
There's a psychological game.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm working on stuff where it's like, I want to get away from just underwriting for myself personally. See if can I underwrite a deal live, in person, without having to pencil it all out. Right? That's something I'm working on because it's such a huge bottleneck for underwriting right now in creative financing. Because like, man, if you go like 10 deals a day underwriting, that's
your whole day.
That's your whole day.
Yeah.
Right. Especially when you're doing commercial.
Right.
Right. So it's just a different animal. So when you're doing that, I was like, it's just too much. I'm working on getting out of underwriting hardcore deal per deal because I look at it this way. A lot of us are trying to take a square hole or square peg and then put it in a circle. Right. It just won't work. You can make it work. You can squeeze that bad boy in there. Right. But why? Makes sense. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, certain deals are cash deals. Certain deals are creative deals. Right. Can I force a creative deal to be cash? Well, yeah. Right. Now I got to bully you on the phone and negotiate the hell out of you. But why would I want to waste my energy doing that? That's a 30-minute conversation.
Right.
I could have just gave you the cash. Or just followed up with you. Call you another time.
Are those leads you're working, are they direct to seller mostly or from other wholesalers that maybe have it locked up too high and now they need Ray to save the day?
Nah, bro. The leads I got now are like right now I'm in a place where I'm not even doing any marketing.
Okay.
At all. I'm taking an old school approach, which everybody in the industry I could tell is kind of making that route because we all been spending this money and we're trying to scale down. Is we're not trying to spend so much dollars to survive. We know like that's not the method right now.
Right. Everyone I've talked to the last couple months is pretty much. Besides, I think Danny said he wasn't turning down his marketing, but he also runs like a really like lean business overall.
Yeah, that's different.
Pretty much everyone else, including us, has either stopped marketing or is marketing a lot less.
Right. And it's just going back to basics, right? How did you start? How much money did you put into it?
Not much, yeah.
Not much, right? So we all know that method works, right? We're all going back to the basics again of like, if you just kept it that way, that's how it should be. if you look at old school guys who've been investing for 20, 30 years, right? They're all about word of mouth, right? Look at Zach Keeps, right? Dude's killing it, right? How much marketing does it do? None. He picks
None.
up the phone every day, calls a few people, right? Chris Iman, same, right? Gets up in the morning. I remember his Chris Iman story. He used to get up in the morning, go to the coffee shop.
Yep. Meet with a couple people.
Meet with a couple people, call like 10, 20 wholesalers, hey, what do you got? Right? Those are the methods in this age that are going to be killer, right? Because you're not spending money to get leads, right? And you want to build relationships over spending marketing dollars. That is marketing.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
We just got in New Jersey like this probate attorney. He calls us every like 6 months just with a layup. Like I think we're buying this one for 88, probably going to sell it for like 130. But he just called me up, had the lead ready to go.
Boom.
Knows we're closers. So, but you know, that took, he got a ringless voicemail from me like 3.5 years ago or something like that. It was like when I first started, and we've just kept that relationship. I always shoot him a text every couple months, just a quick like, hey, got anything in the pipeline? And I mean, those are the best deals. Or earlier this year, we had our first deal, a second house from the same seller. And that was a great deal too. So,
but
if you think long term, yeah, if you're on year 20, you probably have a lot of that.
Think about that though, right? You said those are great deals, right? And those are your best returns. Some.
And I had to do no hunting really.
You do no work, right? So a lot of people don't think about this. That's why I like thinking out the box, bro. Right? Thinking out the boxes. And if you thought about that for just a moment, right? And if you added 4 or 5 more people in that category, right? You got a business.
I've been thinking about that a lot. And, you know, I do, one of the reasons I even do this podcast is
for that.
Yeah, it's for that, you know, tighten up those relationships with people around town doing deals. But I guess, yeah, taking that same mentality. And I think it's not even just how easy, like, obviously he just calls me, the numbers work, cool. But think about like all that time you spend trying to hunt for deals, like calling all these people. It's exhausting, dude. Yeah. You don't want to do that all the time. But if you could just even have, like, I'd rather make way less money, but just have like 10 layup deals a year. Just be like, I'm good. Still made a ton of money. Didn't have to worry about all these systems, processes, employees, all these things.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
If you look at it, there's a strategy I was studying about. It's called the glue deal, right? And the glue deal works where, let's put it this way as an example. I have a deal, right? I don't do New Jersey at all, right? But I got a deal that's New Jersey. It's a sweet deal that somebody sent to me word of mouth. Who am I calling?
Hopefully me.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a glue deal.
Yeah, you want to be that guy.
You want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, that's why you do certain things. That's why you network, you meet people, you rub elbows, you shake hands, right? Because I don't know too many people in New Jersey, right? Only person I know is, okay, let me call Ricky, right? Hey, bro, I got a deal. Check it out. You know the market. Don't know nothing about it. Pay me whatever, right?
Yeah.
You're going to say, yeah, bro, like it, sweet deal. I'll take it. When you become that person, right, you're a magnet now for any deal in New Jersey, right? And that's all you have to do is you have to be that person for most people in any market, right? That's why I do the hood, right? Because I understand glue deals, right? In the hood, everybody's calling me. Hey, Ray, got a deal in your area, in your market, right? Yep, that's me. I'll take it, right? When you start understanding like old school approaches to marketing, word of mouth, it still works.
Yeah.
So everything I do now, to answer your question when you were asking me that, my leads are all word of mouth. My leads are all through connections that I've made over the years. My leads right now are still ones that I continue to make for agents, for wholesalers. Like I'm becoming known as that guy who can help unstick a deal, right? As long as you listen to me. I can tell you like that, whatever approach you're going with, not going to work. Pitch this.
Yeah, like, look, the seller, like we've ran into it. The seller clearly needs to sell this house. They have a problem. They have motivation. I was talking to this lady in Florida. We get some random SEO leads from like just nationwide from these websites I built out. And I was talking to her, and her visa is expiring in America. Like really nice. Like I think she's from like England or something.
Okay.
but super like sophisticated lady. Like she's not gonna like sell for pennies on the dollar, but she like needs to sell. She needs to get out of there. And you know, I was talking to her about some creative options, and it's just like it seemed like a really good scenario with kind of, and she doesn't want to list it because she wants to like live in the house pretty much until like she has to leave.
Okay.
And she doesn't want then like the house like sitting on market for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things were like just making a lot of sense of this lady needs to be pitched some creative solution.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt like it wasn't like, if I wasn't going to be like the end buyer landlord, I wasn't really sure it was worth my time doing that. Like if you were me, would you try to figure out a way to make money on that lead?
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you go about that? Find some end buyers in Florida or like.
This is in Florida?
Yeah.
Traditionary? Like rural area?
No, it's in like outside of, I forget where it was, maybe outside of Tampa or.
Okay. So population greater than 10,000,
there's plenty of people.
Right. Okay.
Plenty of people. Nice house.
Sometimes PPC leads be like.
Yeah,
the ranch
right in the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere.
No, there's plenty of houses. It's a clean house. It's just the fact that, you know, she's trying to pretty much stay in it until like the day she leaves. So why she doesn't want to list it.
Yeah.
But but also at the same time, she, you know, she's not going to sell for like 70 cents on the dollar, 60 cents on the dollar.
Oh yeah, I ticked it all day. Here's the thing: the moment you solve her problem, you make money.
Yeah,
that's what we do, right? You solve people's problem, you make money, right? So there's an equation where you can solve her problem. Depends on what she wants for it and how long.
Yeah,
seller financing works in that scenario, right? Because if she doesn't need that much money,
yeah, she owns it free and clear. She's good. Doesn't need the cash. She just doesn't want. She's very fearful of just leaving a property vacant.
Sitting.
Yeah, sitting when she's leaves the country, essentially.
Okay, so she would do seller financing. She may even do a lease back.
Yeah, I think she'd be open to a lot of these things. I guess that's where it comes down to then, like underwriting those deals. You just got to get pretty good at getting all the numbers.
Look at that deal, bro.
yeah. No, I was thinking too. Like, is it better to have someone like you and just send those opportunities to, or do you add it to your tool belt? It's a constant like battle I've been thinking about lately. I like the idea of like kind of staying in your lane, sticking to what you're kind of good at, and not letting, especially in real estate, right? Shiny object syndrome is super real,
huge.
Like you can be like
super huge,
all over the place. Which I don't think that's the strategy. But when I'm seeing these wholesale checks not really coming in too much lately, I'm like, all right, bro.
Well, that's the pivot.
I think we gotta make some changes.
That's the pivot. So that right there is the pivot, right? It's okay. I'm in my lane, but my lane doesn't work, right? Or it's not working as good as it used to be. That's when I realized I need to pivot, right? And I need to jump into a different lane, right? Because shiny object is a huge thing. I've been in it for years, right? But you just got to know when to change lanes. That's it. It's like driving a car. You got to know when to get the hell over.
Yeah,
right. That deal, I would say it's worth A, bringing it to me, but B, let's sit down and let's look at it. Because here's the thing, I don't want to be that person who has to structure everything. I don't want you to come to me every time, right? I want to bring you up.
I don't want to be that guy either, who's just like I feel bad sometimes. I got a land guy. Shout out to Anthony Pappas, right?
Pappas.
But I'll just like send him some land shit I get, and because I just don't know, but I feel bad because most of the stuff, it's like, nah, dude, this is dog shit. Like there's nothing even here. So at least like having you kind of want to be able to have a baseline understanding, so people aren't just wasting time sending you. It's like, I can't save this, man.
That's why I rather do it with.
Right.
So I rather do that. So you're like, okay, I can at least elevate you to a standard where you understand the deal, you know what it looks like, smells like, and tastes like. Right. So when you see them, you're gonna be like, oh, Ray, right? Or oh, Anthony. Or I'll say, oh, Ricky. Right. Boom. Right. So you want that level of understanding because now you're actually adding some value to the next person. Where it's like, man, this dude always sends me dog shit.
You're like, I'm not going to underwrite your deals anymore.
And you have that. It's a real, like, there's some people I do the same thing with them. I'm just like, oh, here he goes another. They're just learning, right? But it just makes sense to like, let's look at the deal. Let's do it together. So you understand it. Yeah. When you see it, you can be like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, we should probably just call her together.
Well, let's go.
Yeah. So talk to me about, I wanted to ask you about, I saw on social media, you bought like $1 million house. I think 0% interest over 50 years.
1.2 million.
Talk to me about this deal. Let's break it down. So you bought a $1.2 million house, 0% interest over 50 years. So that monthly payment is
2,000.
like 2,000, right? Like 2,000.
Yeah.
And that's 100% principal pay down.
Yes.
How did you get that deal?
An agent. So these were I just started dipping into, here's the thing. Here's the truth. I'll give you the whole story. I spoke at an event for a friend, and in the back were some sophisticated agents that do luxury, right? So I'm teaching everybody. So it was a girl event. I'm teaching them all creative financing, and a few of them had questions on luxury, and I never touched the luxury stuff, right? She's like, "Do you do luxury?" And I was like, "I haven't done luxury yet." Right? She's like, "Well, you should probably jump into luxury, right? They would understand half the stuff you're talking about." Okay. I was like, cool. We met. She sends me one deal, right? She was like, "Hey, right, here's one. It's been on the market for ever and a day," right? I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't know nobody who's interested in it. Like, I just blow her off. I'm like, I don't know nobody who's interested in it. She sent it to me like 3 or 4 times in a 30-day period. She catches me one day at like 8 o'clock. I'm in my office still working, making calls. And she's like, "Ray, have you looked at that deal?" I was like, "No, I haven't." She was like, "They're interested in creative financing," right? And I said, "Ugh, okay, now you got my attention. Let's look at it." And I went over the scenario. I was like, what are they looking for, right? And she's like, "Well, they just don't want the liability of maintaining the house," right? Okay. And the house was free and clear, right? So they didn't want to pay the HOE fees.
Were they living in it?
No. So the lady just moved. She got married. So she got married, right? And she moved. She bought 2 houses, right? So she bought one house. It's a bigger house. It's a teacher, by the way, right? So she's a teacher, not on a huge salary, right? She married a guy. They moved to that house that they're also flipping. And then she bought another house next to it that's a ranch that they're also flipping. Right.
Okay.
So she has this house that she's doing absolutely nothing with, but every month there comes an HOA fee, right? A mortgage fee, and just a house of that size that has so much that you got to maintenance for. She was like, I don't want to continue to pay that. It's been sitting on the market and hasn't sold yet. Right. Pitched the terms to the lady, told her about the tax benefits and how it makes sense for her not to take any money up front. Because anything I give you right now, you're going to pay taxes on. Right. So she was like, I understand that. She's like, I just want to get rid of the maintenance on it. If you take away the maintenance on it, right, I'm willing to take it and I'll make some money on top. Cool. I gave her a price. We amortized it over 50 years. Oh, I'm in. Moving in on January 15th.
So was it just the price she was really stuck on? Because I'm assuming it was sitting on market probably because it was overpriced.
Correct.
Right. So instead of taking whatever, let's say 900,000 on market, I'm sure she could have got tomorrow, no problem, sold it. But she wanted her 1.2. Was that like just the biggest thing? Was there a specific reason, or was it just one of those like, I'd rather die before I sell it for less than 1.2?
Yeah. The reason why is this was her dream house, right? So on a teacher's salary, she bought this house, paid it off, right? And she had such an emotional attachment to the house. Like she's a designer, right? Not one that does it for a living. She does it personally. So she's like did the drapes in the house. She's done the tile in the pool, right? She's done like the brick on the barbecue place, right? And she had such a huge emotional attachment that if she wasn't getting 1.1, she was willing to die. That was in her mindset.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of sellers.
They have that, right? Yeah. Because it's the emotional attachment. She's like, no, I feel like I'm going to lose. Because she feels like she put in 1.2 mil. Yeah. Right. That's how she feels. It's that
emotional game sometimes. It's emotional game, that's right? More important than the numbers.
So once I understand that was a problem, 1.2 mil is not a problem. Here's how I can give it to you. I'm taking away 2 problems. Your 1.2 mil, right? Plus your maintenance. I want the rest.
So you put 0 down?
0 down.
And you're just moving into it?
I'm just moving into it.
$2,000 a month and paying off all the principal.
Yes, sir.
And could you pay off that note whenever you want if you wanted to?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense for me to do so, but
no, it doesn't. I mean, 50 years too?
Yeah.
I mean, whether you rent that out, continue to live in it, whatever it is. It's like that. That's a home run deal.
Here was the weird thing about this is when she brought it to me, I was like, look, why don't you just Airbnb it? Right? She said, well, there's a problem with that. It's in a gated community, and it has restrictions. You can't
like
do
an HOA,
Airbnb,
yeah.
Right? And I was like, makes sense. Okay. Why don't you rent it out? Right? I've seen the house, and I know why she can't rent it out. It's a little bit outdated. And for this level of clientele, you have to furnish it, right? And take care of the personal items that she has in there. She didn't want to do all that because of the emotional attachment.
Yeah.
Right. So she was in a breaking point where she couldn't do all that. And it was like, it just didn't make sense.
She would have had to make some repairs.
She didn't want to do all that, right? Because she had to rip out stuff that she put in that were like customized pieces that no one really wants in the house, right? So I was like, I'll take it as it is. I'll live in it, right? Solve the problem.
Love that. I just heard another buddy around town. He just bought his primary in like PV, like
PV's high.
for like $4 million, and like just paying the guy like I think like $10,000 a month. I mean, big payment, but like I guess those high end luxury stuff though, creative. I never really thought about doing those creative deals for those high end stuff.
Those are ones I'm going to be going hard on those next, right? Because I want to be the guy known for doing creative financing in the hood, right? And with the wealthy, right? So I'm making money in the hood and I'm taking that back to buy luxury properties for all my homies that want to buy them.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of them are...
And then maybe like wrap, like let's say if I wanted that 1.2 house, right? It's like you could maybe wrap that to me.
Of course.
And then...
And you would take it.
I'm paying you $3,500 a month.
And you would take it.
Yeah, you're paying her $2,000 a month, and then you're just making $1,500, and you're not having to be a landlord.
After that deal, a few people hit me up. Right, Anthony was one of them. Okay, where he was like, "Bro, if you find that deal," because I told him how much I'm paying a month. He was like, "Bro, I'm paying that now." I was like, "That's what I said." Right, I'm in a condo in Scottsdale. Right, I'm paying that now.
I was talking to Justin in the office earlier. He was saying the same kind of dilemma. It's like, do I get a fixed 8% rate on a $500K house? It's like you're living in some like shitty house right now, paying $3,000 a month. That's why
I really want to go into this. Like, this is my next move that I'm going to be making is like, I'm going to be taking money from the hood. I'm going to be dumping it into luxury stuff. Right. And they get it. Like luxury right now is hurting. Right. Luxury is hurting really bad. They're picky buyers. They like specific stuff. 8% for them getting lending sometimes doesn't make sense, but a lot of them are coming in cash anyway.
Yeah.
Right, for some of their deals. If you approach these sellers with terms, they get it, bro. Like as soon as you start talking like here's a tax benefit, they get it. Right? I can't put a down payment down because you're going to pay taxes on that. Right? And they're like, oh, I don't want to pay taxes this year on that. Right? Makes sense. Right? If you wait, you're still a homeowner for right now. You need 2 years on it before it becomes tax free. Right? They're just like, oh, okay. When you pitch that to them, bro, they absolutely get it. It's far more easier. Like this was like the farthest easiest deal I ever did. And it blows my mind. Like the moment I walked the house.
And that sounds like a killer deal, but at the same time, she's probably like she's really happy and she got what she wanted.
Super happy. Like me and my wife went and sat down with her agents, everybody. Super happy lady. She was like, look, just that alone, she just couldn't figure it out. Alone. And just taking away like a few $1,000s out of her pocket. Like I told her, look, I just, as long as you're not cash negative, are you happy? She was like, yep.
So was that one, did you pitch her on the idea of 50 years?
Yeah.
Why not, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like a good number.
Yeah. It was the things I do, bro, for being out of the box is I just try. I just try it. So a lot of these, I'm reading a lot of methods. I'm studying a lot of methods. And instead of me just being an analyst paralysis, I just go do them. Right?
Yeah, I love that.
You guys just see me just working on one.
Yeah, you were like, I think your title rep or the agent, I think it was the agent you were just talking to. She was like, have you ever done that? Promissory note? And you're like, no, but like, let's roll with it. Let's do it. And it just seems like you're just moving.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of things. I'm learning old school methods. And I'm trying them. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, let me see if it works.
You see on YouTube now, like people are rebranding old methods.
Correct.
And you're like, dude, this method been around forever.
For ages.
Yeah.
Super ages. They're just forgotten about methods, right? They're fossil methods. Mm-hmm. They still work. all of this are all sub 2 lease options, fossil methods, right? There's some OG guys that I've met that have been waiting for this market. Still alive. We probably thought they passed and exit, and there's no more creative financing gurus. No, they still live. They still exist, right? They've just been waiting for the right time. And now they're resurfacing, right? And you're starting to see these more YouTube videos. You're starting to see more Instagram ads popping up or people popping up. They've just been waiting for this time, right? To bring these old methods up. Bro, they all work. They all work. This one's going to be a good one. You'll see it. I want to get this in because if I can get a promissory note in as an EMD, it's a game changer. I'll never put up an EMD ever again.
Yeah. EMD, I mean, especially you start going high volume, could be just a bottleneck that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Send wires back and forth.
Yeah.
Just annoying.
Yeah. It's fire. I like being out the box.
I love it, dude. Out of the box. Isn't that what your meetup's called?
Yeah. The out the box meetups.
I just made that correlation.
Yeah.
But I love it, man. If we could talk about this all day, but I want to call this lady with you. So we're going to do that after this.
Okay.
If people want to find you, what's the best way to reach out? Maybe if they have some deals around, you're nationwide or just in Phoenix doing deals?
I'm just in Phoenix on residential.
Okay.
I'm nationwide on multifamily.
Okay. If people want to send you deals, what's the best way to send them to you?
I'm on IG, Ray _Spencer the banker.
Awesome, man. Well, loved having you on today, dude. I learned a lot.
It, bro. Appreciate
I might have to make some pivots into the business going into 23 next year.
Let's do it.
It's going to be a big year.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.